Stephen Stanko, the psychopath defense that could free a killer? Dive into the twisted case of Stephen Stanko, a man convicted of brutal murders, now claiming his own lawyer doomed him. Was labeling him a psychopath a desperate defense or a fatal mistake? Give a like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Stephen Stanko's name is synonymous with terror in Horry County, South Carolina. In 2006, he was convicted of the heinous murders of Laura Ling and Henry Turner. These weren't crimes of passion, they were calculated acts of violence that shocked the community. Stanko strangled his girlfriend, Laura Ling, in their shared home. The horror didn't end there. He then sexually assaulted and attempted to murder Ling's teenage daughter, a crime that would forever haunt the young woman. His depravity extended beyond his own home. Stanko then drove to the residence of 74-year-old Henry Turner. There, he shot the elderly man while he was shaving, using a pillow to muffle the sound of the gunshot. Ling's daughter, miraculously, survived the brutal attack. Her desperate 911 call led to Stanko's capture after a nationwide manhunt. But the legal battles were just beginning. Facing the death penalty, Stanko's defense attorney, William Diggs, opted for a risky strategy. He didn't deny Stanko committed the murders. Instead, he argued that Stanko was insane, incapable of understanding the gravity of his actions. Diggs claimed Stanko suffered from a congenital brain defect. He also pointed to a head injury Stanko sustained in high school. The defense argued this injury led to an antisocial personality disorder, effectively branding Stanko a psychopath. The psychopath label became central to the defense's argument. Diggs hoped to convince the jury that Stanko's mental state absolved him of responsibility. However, the insanity defense ultimately failed. The jury saw through the psychopath label. Stanko was found guilty and sentenced to death for both murders. But this wasn't the end of the story. Now, Stanko is fighting for a new trial, claiming ineffective counsel. He argues that Diggs's decision to label him a psychopath prejudiced the jury against him. Was this a legitimate legal strategy, or a desperate act that sealed Stanko's fate? A 3-judge panel of the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals heard arguments on Stanko's appeal. Stanko's current attorney, Joseph Perkovich, argued that Diggs's strategy was extremely damaging. He claimed the psychopath label turned Stanko into a monster in the eyes of the jury. Perkovich argued that the psychopath label prevented a fair assessment of Stanko's mental state. He asserted that psychopathy is not an effective insanity defense. He further argued that it actively harms the client during the penalty phase. Perkovich believes a proper psychological evaluation would have provided a more accurate picture of Stanko's mental state. He suggests Diggs' strategy was a gamble that backfired spectacularly. The state of South Carolina vehemently opposes Stanko's appeal. They argue that Diggs did the best he could, given the horrific nature of the crimes. Anthony Mabry, a senior assistant attorney general, argued Diggs was trapped by the brutal facts of the case. Mabry maintains that Diggs offered the best defense possible under the circumstances. He suggests that any other strategy would have been equally futile. The state believes Stanko received a fair trial, despite the heinous nature of his crimes. The state's argument hinges on the idea that Stanko's actions were so reprehensible that no defense could have swayed the jury. They believe Diggs' strategy, while risky, was the only viable option. The judges hearing Stanko's appeal expressed concerns about the case. Judge Harris questioned whether the ineffective counsel issue was properly raised in previous appeals. This raises the possibility that Stanko's current appeal is procedurally flawed. Judge Diaz questioned whether Diggs failed to present any evidence of Stanko's mental health problems, or if the evidence simply wasn't presented in a way that Stanko now finds satisfactory. This highlights the difficulty of second-guessing trial strategy years after the fact. Perkovich responded that the evidence wasn't competently developed. He argues that Diggs failed to conduct a thorough investigation into Stanko's mental state. This is the crux of Stanko's ineffective counsel claim. Perkovich also argued that Diggs should not have represented Stanko in both trials. Stanko had already claimed ineffective assistance of counsel after the first trial. Perkovich believes Stanko should have been provided with conflict counsel in the second trial. This raises serious questions about Diggs's ability to represent Stanko impartially. Could Diggs have been motivated to defend his own reputation rather than Stanko's best interests? This is a key element of Stanko's appeal. The conflict of interest argument adds another layer of complexity to the case. It suggests that Stanko's right to a fair trial may have been compromised by Diggs's dual role. To understand Stanko's case, it's crucial to examine his past. Prior to the murders, Stanko had served time for assault and kidnapping. This history of violence paints a disturbing picture of a man prone to aggression. Stanko was released from prison in 2004, just 2 years before the murders. While incarcerated, he co-authored a book about prison life. This glimpse into his mind offers a chilling perspective on his worldview. After his release, he befriended Ling and Turner, the very people he would later murder. This betrayal of trust adds another layer of horror to his crimes. Evidence found in his home suggested an interest in serial killers. This fascination with violence further underscores his disturbing mindset. Stanko's apprehension in Georgia after a nationwide manhunt only solidified his image as a dangerous fugitive. Previous appeals to the South Carolina Supreme Court regarding both murder convictions have been unsuccessful. He is currently being held at Broad River Correctional Institution, awaiting his fate. The Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals affirmed the district court's denial of Stanko's Section 2254 petition. The court found that Stanko's waiver of conflict-free counsel was valid and adequately informed. They also determined that Stanko's Strickland claims were procedurally barred. The court concluded that the district court did not abuse its discretion when it unsealed Stanko's funding requests. They also found that they lacked jurisdiction to review the district court's denial of Stanko's Rule 59(e) motion. Stephen Stanko's case raises profound questions about the justice system. Can a lawyer's strategy, however well-intentioned, ultimately doom a client? Does labeling someone a psychopath serve justice or simply prejudice the jury? The courts have spoken, but the debate continues. Was Stephen Stanko a victim of ineffective counsel, or is he simply a cold-blooded killer trying to escape justice? The answer, like the case itself, remains shrouded in darkness. Now it's your turn. Do you believe Stephen Stanko deserves a new trial? Was his defense attorney's strategy a fatal mistake? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for more in-depth true crime analysis. Like this video if you found it informative. Share this video with other true crime enthusiasts. Check out our other videos on similar cases. Support our channel through Patreon, link in description, to help us continue bringing you quality content. Your support helps us delve deeper into the darkest corners of the criminal justice system. Thank you for watching.